So, you're the new addition to the Brotherhood.
Let's dig deep into the cutscenes of the remasters. For the release of the collection, EA used AI upscaling to clean up the FMV cutscenes. Since the original master tapes are long lost, the cutscenes from the original games were used as a base. Unlike the in-game graphics, you can't toggle between the upscaled and original cutscenes, which is kinda sensible since that would take up a lot of space. But if you're one of the weird ones like me who prefers the original cutscenes, check out the description or search the Steam Workshop, we've got a pair of mods you might want to check out. Do stick around though as we go over the differences between the DOS, PlayStation and remastered cutscenes, and I'll explain what these mods are all about. If possible, make sure to watch this video at 1080p at full screen on a 1920x1080 display. I'm going to be showing video files at a 1:1 scale so you can see exactly what the files direct from the games look like. Now back before the remasters launched, I covered the cutscene codecs in excruciating detail in a previous video, Deep Dive Analysis of FMV Cutscenes, or as shortened by YouTube, Deep Dive Anal. Thanks YouTube. But I'll present everything here from scratch, so no one should be left behind. The MS-DOS versions of the games used Westwood's proprietary VQA format. They look like this, all blocky with a crushed colour depth with that quintessential retro FMV charm. One comment I got called it pixel vomit. The PlayStation ports used MJPEG, a more standard video codec native to the console. These are softer with JPEGy mosquito noise around moving objects, looking more like regular low-quality video than something from an old game. The remasters use the industry standard BINC 2.5 codec, a rather high-quality compression format which I gather is rather common in modern games. Since AI upscaling works far better on MJPEG than the more characterful VQA, the PlayStation cutscenes were favoured, although since the ports didn't contain all the cutscenes, upscales sourced from the DOS files are used to fill in the gaps. All the old files also have their frame rates artificially doubled to 30. Well, almost all. Some people have been talking about a disparity between some of the cutscenes in the remasters, so let's get into that. For the vast majority of the videos, we can separate them into 4 camps, sourced from VQA or MJPEG, and upscaled to about 700x400 or 1920x1080. The best looking cutscenes are sourced from MJPEG at 1080. These are primarily the nod briefings and the Retaliation exclusives. The upscaling works best with a decent close-up of a talking head, and these 4x3 cutscenes have the additional advantage of having a higher vertical resolution to work from. These are by and large pretty fantastic.
And
best I can tell, Kane Pre is the only cutscene in the collection that tries to upscale VQA to 1080. Some parts of it are, if I'm honest, surprisingly competent given what the algorithm has to work with, but it's overall pretty rough, and the frame rate interpolation is at its worst here. Quick edit, there's a flash during the cut here caused by an editing error in the original right in the middle of the transition. As I said, this is the only file I found in the game upscaled to 1080 from VQA. Which is odd because it turns out this cutscene does exist in the PlayStation port as Video 41. Perhaps it just got missed, there are several hundred videos in these games. Anyway, the rest of the cutscenes, including the GDI and Red Alert briefings and the CG shorts, are a mix of both sources. There are more VQA videos in amongst the shorts than anywhere, and these were collectively upscaled to 720x396 or 704x396, which are slightly letterboxed. I'll correct those here, but you'll see what I mean in-game. The briefings are certainly better than the MJPEG originals, though it's a shame these didn't get the 1080 treatment. Red Alert I can understand, since these are further zoomed out so there's less detail to work with. See the weird faces of the netrunners for what happens when upscaling things like that. But the GDI talking heads would have been ideal. It's a bit of a shame, but given how massive video can get, I imagine it's mainly down to file size. Kane and the larger Retaliation cutscenes just got priority. The CG shorts are a mixed bag depending on the scene and the source. The VQAs are up to interpretation, I think. Probably the best that could be done with the format, the algorithm less taxed with these. The MJPEGs can be decent, though they suffer from the low bitrate inherent from the originals and of the less drastic approach to upscaling. Most are alright, if rather soft, but one of the worst examples is Desolate, which if anything actually looks worse than the original due to a seeming huge loss of bitrate. This segment of BK Ground appears to have been recreated rather than upscaled, but even here there's rather more noise than perhaps there should be, which of course only gets amplified when these small videos are stretched to fill the screen. I could probably talk for hours on this subject, but let's switch gears. Why replace these cutscenes with the original VQAs? This format is something of an acquired taste. However, I feel like these are the cutscenes in their purest form. MJPEG looks too much like old YouTube video to me, and while the remastered stuff is impressive and is probably the most easily likable format, AI upscaling and frame interpolation are processes for convincingly inventing detail that isn't there. MJPEG is standard video. The picture is small and the edges are soft. Standard video is scaled linearly. You blow it up to full screen, it's going to be blurry. VQA is not standard video. It's an ancient video game built on limited hardware using the palette normally reserved for gameplay to give the impression of video. It's like creating sprites from rotoscoping, and like retro games and sprites, it's best scaled nearest neighbour, meaning you can scale VQA up to full screen without it getting blurry, and it's going to look the same as if you were playing it 1-to-1. It's not video, it's animated sprites. This probably looks better than this, sure, but Tib Dawn had these cutscenes which were clearly specifically designed for the pixel-sharp VQAs, and which look awful in any other format. VQA may not be the master tapes, but it's how the games were originally intended to look. It's not everyone's thing, but it's an option. Check out the mods in the Steam Workshop if you're interested. They don't replace the console stuff, just the FMVs from the base game, plus the original installation sequences from DOS. Just as a heads up though, they are pretty big downloads. I've been digging into the remastered video files a lot. I've got one more video planned on this stuff for next time. If you'd like more on the codecs mentioned, the last video lays it all out simply with a bunch of visual examples. Huge thanks to CC Hyper for help with the mods. My name is Stefan. Thank you very much for watching.
Sound hardware initialized.